We are going to continue with the second part of this topic, regulatory issues surrounding the use of companion animals in clinical trials, investigation, and studies. And we are starting with the area of testing new techniques and veterinary methods. Cutting-edge research are the procedure in advancing and bringing up new techniques in companion animal medicine, and the standard minimal criteria for human care are usually exceeded at the veterinary teaching hospitals using highly skilled or experienced personnel in animal medicine and surgery. In addition to this minimal standard, universities must devise additional procedure for the purpose of protecting the veterinary-client relationship, the veterinary personnel, and the client in this instance is the animal or the companion animal owner. Shield the pets from unnecessary pain or distress, and also safeguard the pet owner from consumer fraud. One of the basic procedures which must be followed in carrying out testing of new technique is the use of consent form, and this is commonly used in order to protect the animal and the animal owner. So the principle of informed consent is common to the use of companion animals both in drug testing and university experimental, procedural, and testing validation. Of course, clinical studies cannot proceed without the companion animal being brought in by the owner and the owner accepting or consenting that the animal should be used for such purpose. Basic information about the drug to be tested must be provided to the pet owner, and therefore there are information on how the procedure or drug in question really is. Is it going to cause pain? Is it going to damage any part of the animal? Is it likely to cause the death of the animal? All this information must be provided to the pet owner. And the chances that the animal might not benefit from such a new procedure must also be discussed with the pet owner. If there are high rates of side effects in the foundational research, this must be discussed with the pet owner. The vaccine, the drug, or the procedure and its side effects must be discussed with the owner before the administration of the new drug, vaccine, or the new procedure. Now let's now take the clinical studies one by one, and we are starting with clinical studies involving drugs. This is to say that it is important to do clinical studies if a new drug has been developed. The regulations of clinical studies involving companion animals is very comprehensive to ensure the utmost safety and efficacy of the new animal drug. And when a pharmaceutical company develops a new drug, it is important that the following sequence of procedure are followed. In fact, the sequence of procedures are usually followed in the testing of new drug. The first step is to use in vitro or small mammals models. Such small mammals may include albino rats, and after this procedure, the next stage is using dogs or cats held as a research subject by research facilities. The dogs and cats that are held as research subjects does not belong to an outsider, it belongs to the research facility. And so the issue of using consent does not arise at this stage. And the last stage is to perform single or multiple center clinical trials outside biomedical research structure. This is where we have to use animals or pets from private owners. And this is the time when consent form will be issued. Now, the final phase of drug testing, when clinical trials are initiated, include extensive legal discussions between pharmaceutical companies, in this case, who is the sponsor, and the responsible administrative center, in this case, is the research facility that is being used for the testing of the new drug. Before clinical trials involving drugs on common animals outside the laboratory, there must be preliminary work which must be summarized to establish the basis for further development of the drug. And those preliminary must include the fact that the, the issues of the discovery phases of the drug must be summarized. The drug manufacturing of drug components must be itemized. The intended use of the drug must be clearly stated. The result of any laboratory animal studies and early pilot studies must be clearly enumerated. And the final evaluation of the safety of efficacy of the drug or technique are the responsibility of the animal owners. In other words, the, the administrative center for the testing of the drug is not the one that will determine whether the drug is effective, is efficient, or has the required efficacy. But it's the dog owner or the cat owner or the animal owner that will determine the efficacy of the drug being tested. After this procedure, there is the area which involve the setting up of monitors. And monitors of clinical trials are required during the investigational and new animal drug approval processes. Some veterinary teaching hospitals in which non-pharmacological therapies are tested also established internal monitoring committees to be sure that whatever the outcome of the testing procedure is reliable. It is also important, monitors are also important because they need to ensure that the regulations involving drug testing are followed. They are also important to be sure that the facility is adequate for the testing of the new drug. And the functions of the monitors are one, or we must have the following about the monitors. One, they must be qualified to oversee the study protocol and implement quality assurance measures, in which case the monitors are highly trained people who are familiar with the study protocol, who are competent to know that the researcher is implementing quality assurance measures as stipulated in the regulation. The monitors must be unbiased and personally contact each investigator to be sure that they are doing the right thing. The monitors must make frequent trips to the study site to ensure appropriate functioning of the study. And lastly, the monitors must continually record visits, actions, and correspondence with investigative staff and sponsor, so that in the final analysis, it could be said that regulations have been followed and procedures are followed strictly according to how it is laid down. The other area is the area of vaccine development. And because this is a very this aspect is highly specific and requires highly skilled personnel, a lot of regulations are set before approval is given for the development of that new vaccine. Consequently, There are government agencies responsible for the pre-approval, licensing, and policy development for companion animal vaccine. And what they do is that they establish licensing, testing, and permit requirements and procedure. It is also the responsibility of these government agencies to provide licenses for the production facilities and biological products. They are also involved in providing permits for importation of products, especially if there are areas that require external input. And they are also involved in reviewing the production methods, labels, and supporting data involved in the licensing and permit process. And the final phase of this testing new techniques and veterinary method is post-marketing surveillance. This is a very important aspect of the whole process. The post-marketing period of use for common companion animal drugs, vaccine, and new medical treatment is the most useful monitoring process for animal clinical studies. Good clinical studies utilizes the benefit of strong post-marketing surveillance in an effort to seek true indices of the safety and efficacy of new products and techniques. It is not just sufficient to push new drugs or new vaccines into the market. It is important that a survey is done to be able to ascertain the level of safety and efficacy of the new products and techniques. This will help in making amendments. This will help in also ensuring that the area of deficiencies are taken care of before new batch of drugs and vaccines are pushed out. The new surgical and medical techniques usually must meet the scrutiny and selectivity of academic experts. This is where peer review comes in. Scientists must agree on the efficacy of the new product and its safety. And once this is done, the drug can be pushed into the market. And lastly, this requirement for post-marketing surveillance and the fulfillment of the high standard shared by peer reviewers preceding publication of new medical techniques serve as ultimate safeguards for their eventual use in veterinary practice. This is where I am going to stop on this particular topic. Kindly revert back to me for any question or further discussion on this topic. Thank you.